There is nothing as mysterious as a fact clearly described.
When someone becomes aware of the camera, it becomes a different picture. Hey, welcome to the Street Shots Photography Podcast. This is Antonio.
And this is Ward.
And this is episode 237 for the what was it?
End of August.
End of August, yes.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of it's not a telephone code. It's an international country code for Cameroon.
Cameroon.
237.
Good soccer players in Cameroon.
Really?
Yep, they can run.
Yeah. Okay. But I also have to mention 237 is the address of the apartment building that I grew up in.
And
so
also, isn't it the room?
Yes.
The room in the Overlook Hotel?
The room that Danny is not supposed to go in at the Overlook Hotel from the movie The Shining. And we will not discuss what's in that room.
No, we won't, because it's none of our business know-how.
It's none of our business. Yes, and we don't want to go into that room. It's also the name of a documentary about The Shining that came out in 2012, an American documentary film directed by Rodney Asher about the interpretations of Stanley Kubrick's film The Shining, which I heard that I think Stephen King did not like this interpretation of it, from what I heard.
Okay.
So I wonder how that works out. If the author doesn't like the interpretation, does he have anything to say about it, or he just like?
Well, I'm sure he'll say something, but I don't think it'll make any difference. Because I know Kubrick worked with Arthur Clarke on 2001, right? That was a collaboration, I think.
Yeah.
So
Clarke was writing. I think Clarke was actually still writing the book while the movie was being made.
Okay.
Like, those things were happening simultaneously. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see The Shining? Of course you did. Yes.
Of course I did. I saw it when it came out in the theater when I was a kid, and just the theme music and that Volkswagen Bug driving through Glacier Park, like that was like, what is going on? I'm scared already.
That helicopter shot. Yeah. That movie freaked me out. And that's the kind of horror movie that I like. It's not quite, what's his name? An H.P. Lovecraft story, but it's in that vein, right? Like today's horror movies are the cheap, something jumps out of the closet or there's a loud bang or something like that. And The Shining had none of that except for one scene, which I won't describe.
Yeah. But
it was near the end and it was a jump thing, and you were kind of waiting for it to happen anyway, or something to happen. But the movie itself was just totally a freak.
Yeah.
Like one of the best scenes was when Jack Nicholson walks into this big ballroom. It's totally empty, right? Because they're taking care of an empty hotel. And he walks up to the bar and there's nothing there because they had closed it out and there's no alcohol there. And he puts his head down and he says something like, or puts his hand in his, he's like, I'd give my soul for a drink. And the camera's still on him. Yeah. And he looks up and suddenly the camera cuts and there's a bartender all of a sudden. Like that scene, and it's very, there's nothing special effecty. It's just that you see him come in alone, the place is empty, and suddenly there's this bartender, dressed up in a 1930s bartender outfit. Mm-hmm. And
with all the liquor behind him.
With all the liquor suddenly, yes. Yeah. That movie, the filming of that movie was, it just blew me away, even when I was a kid, and it scared the hell out of me. It was just a little freaky. And so when in that movie they showed that little Danny was going into room 237, and I knew that was my address, like that kind of freaked me out as a kid too. It was like I had some connection to The Shining. Yeah. And I'm not into numerology or anything like that, but there was too much of a coincidence when I was a kid. Like, so what did it come out in 1980 or 81 or something like that, right? So,
something like that. Yeah. I want to say 80. Yeah.
80, yeah. So we're pretty young to watch that film. So anyway, we go down the Stanley Kubrick rabbit hole with Anyway, yes, episode 237 for the end of August. There goes our summer, right? There's the
Yep,
summer.
just like that. But we did stuff.
Yeah.
You and I did some
What did
stuff
you
this
do?
summer.
Yeah,
So
what did you do?
what
How
did
have
I
you
do?
been?
What have I done? Let's see. We were talking at the end of the last show about this little flashes that we bought, and I
Mm-hmm.
decided to go out and walk around at night on the same route that I walk the dog, and take some pictures of some things, some street signs and bus stops and playground equipment, which is really creepy if you light it with a flash in the middle of the night. Uh,
Speaking of Stanley Kubrick, right?
yeah. So it's sort of like I'm taking a picture of a plastic slide at 10:30 at night, and there's all kinds of things wrong with doing that. Like the mood of the picture is like, wow, this is wacky. And then there's kind of a almost a sensuous form of this, plastic, molded plastic, and it was telling you in the chat on
Mhm.
Discord that it reminded me of Edward Weston's Pepper Number 30. It had that twist in it, the sensuality in
Mhm.
it. So it's
Mhm.
all kinds of wrong, that picture. So, but I like it. It has a certain vibration, a certain frequency that I really liked. And then just as I was walking out my front step, we've got these, I call them mountain hares. They're not actually mountain hares. They're called, what are they called? A white-tailed jackrabbit.
Mhm.
So there was just one out on the street, just hovering over his place on next to a manhole cover in the street right in front of our home. And he was looking at me, and I was looking at him, and I walked about 10 feet closer, and he was still looking at me. So I got about 30 feet away, and I fired the flash and lit up his eyes and lit up a little fire hydrant that was on the other side of the street. And it had this kind of creep vibe. And so that was kind of cool.
How'd you
Get
get the
some
camera to
wildlife.
focus that far?
Oh, I was manual focus all night when I was doing
Ah,
all
okay.
night
Yeah.
off for that walk. Just manual focus, and focus peaking still works. It worked. It worked great. And then I always have the focus scale turned on in manual focus. So it worked.
Okay.
And I didn't have any
Mm.
focus problems at all. And you never hear me say that. So I just had time, I
So
guess. I had time
did
to manual
did you
focus.
did you think this was like a one-off thing, or you plan to do it again?
I'm happy. How do I put it? I have no idea where I'm going to go with it, but I'm happy with the results that I got. And so what I'll do is I'll just mull over the slide picture and the rabbit picture, which reminded me, that was the closest one that reminded me of Trent Park because it was really grainy. It was, ISO 6400. It was kind of creepy. It was a creature with the glowing eyes from the flash. And so that kind of like, I was kind of hoping for something kind of Trent Parky, and I got
Mhm.
something, which is pretty good on the first try. So I'm
Mm.
happy about that. So I'll just think about it for a while. Maybe I'll go out, in the wintertime. What would snow lit with flash in the winter be
Ah.
like, right? Like
Yeah.
I've got options. So it's just another thing to put in the back of my mind or whatever. I don't journal like you, but I think I'll think of it every now and then. I think of it, and there's a nice evening I can walk around. And this winter I will be walking the dog, and so there may be opportunities there. But I was happy with it was that, and that was the first time I really used the flash in a context
Mhm.
like that, I'm actually doing something with it. And I think I was telling you that the flash fired 56 times, almost full power, probably. And I plugged it in the USB-C, you just plugged it into the charger
Mhm.
we have on the wall, and it was charged and back to full charge in 3 minutes. So
Really? Wow.
I'm happy. I'm happy when
I'm
gear surprises you happily that way.
I'm always wondering why is this one of the first flashes that has a built-in rechargeable battery? I mean, every strobe that I've got or speed light, it's 4 double A's or 3 triple A's or something like that. I mean,
NiCads, you've got a
yeah.
NiCads or nickel metal
And I
hydrides.
thought, yeah, and I was like, well, why hasn't someone just put a, rechargeable battery in it and just make it. I mean, I know there's the issues like if you're on a, I'd rather have, you know, on a
A
job or something like
commodity.
that, working
Mm.
interchangeable batteries because they could just, if I had to run to the drugstore and get them, I could get them. If you have a rechargeable battery, once it's out, unless you have it plugged into power, which you can do. I used to have, what did I have? I can't remember what it was called, but a battery pack for my strobes.
Mhm.
So I had this, huge, heavy battery hung from my belt, which seemed to pull half of my pants down.
Right.
On
Straight
whatever
from
side I put it in.
1958. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about the size of a thick paperback book, and it would either hang on my side or I put it on my belt on the side, and then it had a plug specifically for my speed lights. Now, the nice thing about it was that battery would not run out for the entire night, so you could just shoot
Right.
flash after flash. But very cumbersome thing, and it was rechargeable as well. It took forever to recharge, so I still had to have batteries in it in case that thing ran out. But I think
And,
this idea of like a rechargeable battery and a flash is really cool.
well, I have Godox 860. I think they're for Fuji version 2 of the V860s. They
Mhm.
have a removable lithium pack.
Oh, do
And
they?
I mean, I haven't used those very much at all. I got those in an estate sale, but they're almost like a studio speed light. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
kick out a lot of light, and so I can I can see you swapping those out. But I think the battery life is pretty spectacular on those too.
yeah, yeah. Well,
But I
those
haven't
little
tested them.
flashes. I mean, I those little flashes. I saw the we talked about them last week, so I won't go too much into them. But I think they're
Mm.
great little things. Like they don't take any room up in your bag. They put out a lot of power. I have to say that after you told me about your little foray into the darkness with your dog and your flash, I decided to do the same thing. I threw the flash onto my can't remember what camera it was, but I was going out at night. What were we doing at night? Well, I went to Memorial Stadium
Hmm.
because Angie's daughter she's on the flag line, and Angie was there to take some pictures of her little cohort. And
Okay.
so it was a little bit of a practice. There was nobody in it was a
Right.
totally empty stadium except for all the young people doing the practice. But I got a chance to stand out in the middle of Memorial Stadium, which was
Mm.
quite which just to say something, like, that was quite something to be in the middle of a
Yeah,
football
sports
stadium that
venues
holds.
are really cool.
Well, I heard that when this place is filled up, it becomes the 3rd largest city in Nebraska.
Okay.
So, first is Omaha, second is Lincoln, and then third would be this stadium if you counted it. It was like 80,000 plus. But I was standing in the middle of it, and it's lit up at night with all the great lights. Now, I brought my flash, and I thought I would do some stuff in the stadium, but I didn't want to interrupt Angie's little portrait session that she was doing, so
Okay.
I just sort of took pictures of nothing. But then when we were done, I had the flash on the camera, and we went out, and I started photographing a few things. Like, they had a bronze statue in front of the stadium of these football players. I think they might have had the old style uniforms on,
Yeah.
and I took some shots of the flash with that. And I there was a giant mastodon that they had too, like another bronze one, and I actually was having some problems with that because
Mm.
I was setting the TTL and I kept flashing. Either it would it I actually was surprised at how much light it put out.
Yeah.
In one shot, it fired off and it hit the building in the background and the trees, and it overexposed everything. And I was like, that is a lot of light. And I kept trying to dial it down. Couldn't get it right. But
Yeah.
when I got home, I did photograph like the backyard, like the trees. I fired it up into the trees, and then the tree trunk right in front of me.
Mhm.
And I could see the appeal of what you're talking about, like this idea of going out at night with this flash deliberately. I mean, I want to be careful. I mean, obviously, we want to be careful not like flashing someone's house and like what the hell's
Mhm.
disturbing people inside. But there was something. I think it was the newness of it for me that I had never done that before, or like just like the potential. I wouldn't know what to do overall, although I did think about maybe going into Lincoln City at night and trying using the flash on the empty streets. Like, it'd be
Mhm.
interesting to see what I could get with empty streets. I might do that when it gets a little bit as we go further into fall, because then it will get darker sooner, so it won't be
Yeah.
out so late. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I copycatted you in some
Fine.
way. In some way.
There's nothing original. I mean, I mean, I got the inspiration towards the end of the show last time, right? So, oh, you give me this
Yeah,
idea. I
yeah,
should go out
yeah,
and flash at night. So
yeah.
yeah, no, it was kind of
So
fun. I mean, I think I will do it again. I don't really have an idea of what direction to go till I
mhm.
ponder these pictures maybe go out again and just do some random things. And if something appeals to me, like that slide picture and like the bunny picture, I think I'll see if I could chase that down more.
Yeah, we've got outside in the back. We had a raccoon the other day, and apparently there's a fox as well. I
Oh,
have yet to see the fox. I did see the raccoon slightly, but like the idea of bringing my camera out and photographing the raccoon in flash or something like that just would seem to be something to do with
they
this.
have really bright retinas, like they are
Yeah, so they'll
blazing.
just
Yeah, yeah,
any animal that's got very good night vision will have
yeah,
those
absolutely.
incredibly
Yeah.
bright. Yeah, so maybe I'll do that. I have to have the camera sort of standing by. So anyway, what else did you do? We're just sort of
What
catching
else
up
did I
here.
do? I don't remember what else I did.
Oh, you don't remember?
I got a book. I think the last time we
Oh
talked, or
yeah,
around
what'd you get?
I got.
Yeah.
I missed the first printing of a Melissa O'Shaughnessy's Perfect Strangers, a street.
Hmm.
She's a street photographer. She's a disciple, if you want to say, of Joel Meyerowitz. In fact, she knows Joel and has been to at least one of his workshops, if not more. They're like a family friend. What a great family friend to have.
Yeah. Right.
But
Mm,
she is a color practitioner and she has a sense of humor. She sees patterns, she sees mother daughter, she sees twins, and very often humorous compositions that she has. But after having walked down up and down Broadway and Sixth and whatever with you, I, I I relate to the images much more and the feeling of them, and so
mm,
it's a great it's a great book. So the pictures aren't like some of the O'Shaughnessy pictures I've seen like published on websites and stuff. They're all kind of ringers. The book is actually a little bit more subdued in terms of
mm.
subject matter and like, here's a zinger, but it's you definitely see more because there isn't a punchline. It's just a broader appeal and it makes you look at the entire composition, page to page. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of that. The
Yeah.
book will last longer for you if you don't have a bunch of rapid fire jokes going all the way through. I think
Okay.
anyway. What were you gonna say?
Expand on that a little bit if you can. Well, a couple of things. One was what were you sort of resonating with your experience and what you were seeing with her pictures?
Oh,
Like,
just the energy of the people on the street. New York
okay,
is very specific energy.
yeah. So
People
you
are
could feel
doing
that
stuff.
through her
We're going
shots,
over
right?
here. We're
Yeah.
doing this. And then you'd see where some, like the mother daughter one, where we're on a day shopping, whatever. And there's a kind of one of her more famous pictures are the mother and daughter standing in front of like a table with a bunch of used books on it, probably. And both of them have their heads tipped down and their hair's falling.
Oh, that's at the
Both of them
that's
are
at the
looking down.
Strand. Yeah, that
Oh,
was
that's
at
at
the
the
Strand
Strand.
bookstore.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. They have the books outside. Yeah, I
So,
used
and
to use that
it was
picture
just
as an
funny.
example. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's a famous, that's one of her more famous ones. And then she sees redhead twins, and it's like almost like a mirror image. And she seems to find you. She has this tremendous luck, but I say that, but she's out every day, like going like hours
Right,
every day when she's working. So,
right.
fortune favors the prepared, and she is prepared, and she's great. So, yeah,
It,
that book's going to
this is
be on
this is the
my
second
side table
printing.
for a long time. This is the second printing out. Yeah, the
Oh,
first one ran out before I had a chance to order. This time, as soon as I
all right.
saw it, I think it came out in June. I want to say May or June. I'm like, I gotta get one. I
Mm.
gotta get one.
I
So
might have
thankfully,
I might have to get that. And I love her work, and there's a video on YouTube. I can't remember who did it. I mean, I'd have to search her name, but he's following the host of the show is following her down Broadway, and she starts on
yeah,
Union Square, which is roughly about 14th Street, and she just walks up Broadway. I don't know. I can't remember how far she walks up to, whether it's to Times Square or something like that. But he's talking to her. She's walking. She's
she's
taking pictures
moving.
occasionally. She's moving. And you know the one I'm talking about, then, right?
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
video, yeah. So
It,
she's taking pictures, and every now and then they'll show the shot that she takes, and this is just with her walking. And there's something I wanted to talk about this. Maybe we should do a show about these photographers who are like the what's his name, Matt Stewart and Paolo Buscato. I'm probably butchering his name, who, this is not a O'Shaughnessy, although maybe she fits in that way, but those photographers who get those sort of coincidental moments, like, a typical shot would be like a steam pipe in front of a person and the person's framed so it looks like they're
Right.
coming out of their head, or
Yeah.
like, uh, you were just talking about luck, right? She was lucky, but
Well, luck in
but
italics and
luck,
quotes. Yeah.
yeah, luck in italics and quotes. And I don't necessarily believe in luck. And, because you said she goes out every day. And yes, if you go out every day and you're disciplined to do this, you're going to get this. But these photographers who find these, like, only in O'Shaughnessy's picture of the mother-daughter with their heads tilted, or the twins, like, these are
Yeah.
things that, and then these other photographers who find the coincidences that are, I mean, I always tell my students that if you go look at Matt Stewart's website, it's like a rabbit hole. You're never going to come out of
Yeah.
it. You're going to wonder how they did that. And I read his book, which is, like, being a street photographer. I can't remember what it was called, but then I realized it's not all, it's not luck. It's not magic. It's like this, he worked at getting this picture. But, in a street situation, this when you're walking down the street, how, I was going to say, how is it that how is it that one can find these things fast enough to then put your camera up to your head and understand what you're going to get? In other words, you're scoping out the world with your eyes and you see a situation. How is it that you can keep that situation long enough that you can actually capture a picture about it? Do you know what I'm saying or asking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, I
So
know.
what do you say?
And
What do you say to
well,
that?
well, I said in my article about the Calgary Stampede here, this last one, was that, and I think you used the phrase too, you let the frame, how does it, what was it, the Cass County Fair, you said you let the composition build as you walk up to it. There's this kind of feeling of inevitability when I'm stalking my prey, when I'm my subjects at Calgary. There's this, oh, look there, this looks really good. This looks like they're going to do something interesting, or they're in a pleasing arrangement. And I'll talk about that later too, about my this style that I seem to have fallen into with my Stampede work. That you're there to, to catch the moment. You're attuned to it. And I mean, Meyerowitz is certainly more metaphysical about it, about the connection between you and the eye and the camera and the world. I don't quite go there, but I mean, a lot of those pictures that I take at the Stampede Midway, I have the camera pointed from the hip, and then I want to be close enough that I want to fill the frame as much as I can. But at the actual instant I'm tripping the shutter, I'm looking away. I'm not looking at, and you hope you get it. And so I'm not trying to spoil it by looking at them dead in the face or having the camera pointing at them to the point where they're aware of it. I'm trying not to do that. And sometimes I blow it and I lose the picture. But O'Shaughnessy's interesting because I never seen her shoot from the hip. She always seems to always have the camera up to her eye.
Yeah, she puts it up to her eye.
Yeah, I mean, your point's well taken. Like, how does she do this? What does she have? And I think it's, fair to say, well, I think women have an easier time. And I think we mentioned this before about shooting on the street. There's less of a creep vibe, I think, with her.
I'm sure that factors into it, but I can't imagine that's all of it. That's part of it.
No, I know it's not all of it, but I'm just saying, what are the factors, right?
Yeah.
She's just good, and she's well studied, I think, and she knows what she's doing, and
let's put that experience. Put that on our. Well, I want to put that on my to buy list. It's a do list to buy, to get list.
Do that ordered soon.
I should say. Yeah, I haven't ordered a book lately. Yeah, so well, okay, good for you on that book. I wanted to. I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Nothing over big subject matter, but speaking of street photography, right? I want to just go into the gear a little bit and then talk about what I did the past week.
Okay.
But I did, as a gear thing, talking about the kind of stuff we carry when we're shooting. And I always tell my students, like, if you can get the Ricoh GR IV, that's such a good street photography camera. Well, now the Ricoh GR IV has been announced, right? And it does seem like a nice little camera. It's got some interesting little features, some sort of focus limiting so that you can set
Yeah.
distances with the focus, which I thought was kind of cool.
It
It
has a
sounds
little
like
up
sort of like,
down, a switchy kind of thing on the corner for exposure compensation.
yeah, but
That's
this whole
cool.
thing with the focus thing, it sounds like a kind of souped up zone focusing kind of
Mm.
thing, which is certainly street photography was. The camera is small enough to fit in your pocket. It's probably about I bet it's not much bigger than the Fuji half size camera, and it's $1,500.
This I don't get.
Well, and I'm assuming that some of that has got to be tariffs and stuff, but
Right.
even take away that. I mean, I don't know what the tariff is on that camera. We could find out as you're typing away. Maybe you can find out. But
Yeah.
it's
What
still,
I'm,
even without the tariff, it's got to be, it's got to be over $1,000, $1,200 or something like that.
yeah.
And sure, it's a great little camera. I picture that it's the kind of camera that you might leave, like, on like the coffee table and at the cafe and walk out without it, or it pops out of your pocket because it's so small. Because I did, of course, look at it and price it out because, like, I was like, oh, I've always kind of thought it'd be nice to have that little camera. Uh, but not at that price. I'm sorry. I mean, it just seems to be too much for a couple
Well,
few
looks
hundred
like we're
dollars
not
more.
free of it here either. It's
What, the tariff?
1900 Canadian.
Oh,
That's
what does that work at?
crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, let's see. I can figure that out too while we're.
Well, yeah. Anyway, it does look like a great little, street photo camera. I just could not possibly recommend it at that price. I'm not saying that for the show or the listeners, something like that. That's not me saying that. Usually I recommend these things to students because I want them to I'd love them to get instead of walking around with these giant DSLRs, sometimes like the people come into the class with, and it's like
Yeah.
nothing wrong with those for doing street photography, but it's like, if you want to really something small, or you just couldn't and, you know, say to them, hey, get this camera. But maybe some people have disposable income. I don't know.
So the with today's exchange rate, Canadian dollar, it works out to $1,370 US.
That's not that bad. Oh, I mean, that's something. Well,
But
so anyway.
for reasons, our exchange rate has kind of tanked lately. So,
Oh, all right.
oh,
So anyway, I haven't seen the camera yet. I'm not judging it. If I had unlimited sources of money, I'd probably say, yeah, I'd probably buy it. I like that little. Would love to have a non-Fuji street photo camera just for
I know
fun.
I
So.
played with the GR3 when it first came out and handled it. Was at a Beers and Cameras thing, and I walked around with it. In the monochrome mode, wow, that was very cool.
Really?
Yeah, the monochrome mode was it's not like the way I would do post processing, but does it ever look sharp on the screen on the back? Like
Yeah.
you can see it. It's like using that app on the phone. What's it called? Contrast. There's it has a bit of soul. The images seem to have a bit of soul in monochrome mode.
Yeah.
So it would definitely be something to play with.
So
But
what did you see? Yeah.
what did I saw? I saw a camera that actually picked up and held and played with, and I have a kind of a low grade crush on right now. And that's the new Fujifilm XE5. So I own two XE3s, which I've got tens of thousands, or probably between the two of them, over 100,000 frames gone through them collectively. And they're kind of a cheaper version of the XE. I don't think they had the same prestige as the XE1 or the XE2. But what I really loved about the XE3 was, like the X20 that you and I both owned, it was small and cute, but this had an interchangeable lens, and it's kind of everything I want in a street camera, but it doesn't have IBIS, and it doesn't have whatever. It doesn't have all the horsepower that I think I'd want a street camera to have. And so the XE4 kind of skipped over. It felt very cheap. I think they were built in China. The the XE5 is built in Japan, like my XE3 was. It has a bit of heft to it. It's like a baby version of GF 100 RF. I mean, it has the same feel to it, and it has that little aspect ratio changer, flippy lever. controls fall well to hand. The edges of it are kind of sharp, which is weird. And I think I went there on a Fujifilm. The Fujifilm rep was there, and he had a table out with all the current gear. I did pick up the X half too. I was played with it a little bit. We can talk about that if you want. But the XE5 felt really good, and they also had the small rig plate that you can put on it. Gives you another 4 or 5 millimeters of depth, to the bottom of the camera, which is great because my little finger went off the end, like it did with the XS20. I got the small rig plate for that too. So I'm seriously thinking about getting one. I know I had mulled over getting the XE3 when it came out. It took me about a year and a half before I pulled the trigger, and then suddenly I had two. This one, I think I'll give up one of my XE3s and get the black-bodied XE5. In fact, I put my name on the list for a black one, body only.
Okay.
I did play with the 23 2.8 that comes as a kit with it. I think it's fine. I think it's better corrected in terms of distortion than my F2 version. I mean, it's designed to work with the 40 megapixel sensor, which this has. I don't really need 40 megapixels, so I have to deal with that. And I only ever shoot RAW, so yes, I'm going to get the whole 40. So before you say, oh, you just shoot JPEG and you shoot low resolution, I'm just not going to do that. But yeah, it felt really good. And I think that's sort of the next step. I think if I keep the XS20 for sports, for the rodeo and the auto racing, and then shift my emphasis, maybe put the 50 millimeter on the XE3, my workhorse XE3, and then put the 23 on the XE5, and that could be my working kit for the street. I think I would be happy. Has a wonderful mechanical shutter sound too, kind of getting towards the almost like a leaf shutter sound.
Oh, really?
It sounds great. Sounds great. And you can feel
well, someone else has mentioned the sound of the shutter on that camera.
Oh, have they? Okay. But that's what struck me.
Kevin Mullins on FujiCast,
okay.
He was talking about the sound on the XE5 too. So
it seems in pictures, it seems like it's bigger, a lot bigger than the XE3. And I suppose it is. It doesn't really feel like it in the hand. The only thing kind of off-putting are kind of the sharper edges of it, but whatever. I shoot from the hip anyway, how often is it really up to my eye, maybe half the time.
I hate to say it. I did add my name to a wish list on B&H, but like they just give me the heads up when it comes in, and it's a $1,700 camera. It's like, I don't need another 17. I don't need it. It's not, but it does look nice. And it does have that, X100 style stuff going on with it, but you could change the lens on it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I have the option. I mean, it will sell. So if I get cold feet and I talked with the floor manager at the camera store, and we have a running conversation, and he got me to come in and buy that XS20. So, so I said, well, you put your name down, or we'll put you on the real list. I'm like, okay, great. So I can get that phone call and go, yeah, I'm going to have to run this by the finance committee, So
yeah, I might wait. I mean, here, I don't know how much our audience was talking about cameras we want to buy, but I might wait on this because I'm kind of in love with the X Pro series, and I'm just wondering if like
the X Pro 4,
Fuji's whatever Fuji comes out with, they come out with an X Pro 4, that it would, be something like, oh, I would want that instead of this camera. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. But it does look like a sweet camera, and I think Fuji's doing a pretty good job with their stuff. And how did you feel about the X half? Right? Does it feel like a little plastic toy?
It's
right?
Very light. Yeah, it was a little like it's really then it's a shock when you look through and it's a vertical. It's not like you pick up a Olympus Pen F, like an old 60s camera, and you go, oh, this is half frame. I know all about this camera. It's half frame. It's half frame. So you look through it. It's a vertical viewfinder. It's not a surprise. You're like, oh, I'll just pick up this little thing, and oh, geez, like, oh, all right. And there's no information in the viewfinder at all. And I'm like, and I'm playing with the little film window thing and picking the different, and it's definitely fun. And I was talking to the Fuji rep, and I was like, you do not want to learn photography with this camera.
No.
Like the whole thing. The whole thing is an affectation designed for photographers.
Yeah.
Let's play with this a little bit. Let's do this. Let's cut
Although,
your hair
like
a
I
little
said,
bit too short.
last episode I said this: if someone come out of the camera with the features of like limiting, I really do dig that, limiting the amount of pictures you can take, like the 36, and you can't view them. And I think, for students learning photography, not necessarily learning the
How to
technical
use a
parts of
camera.
photography, but how to use a camera, like the first thing you might do. Because I remember when I first had my Pentax, like I, I don't know if I might have said this, but when I bought my Pentax, there was the Spotmatic, and it had a light meter. I can't remember exactly whether it was a line that had to go into a circle, right?
Yeah.
And when I bought it, the guy behind the counter said, actually, I haven't remembered this in a while. The guy behind the counter said, so he goes, you turn this dial up here, going to the shutter speeds, and then you turn this on the lens until that little line gets in the middle, and then you can take
Yeah.
your picture. Like, that's all he said. He didn't tell me what the shutter speed was or the aperture was. And I actually didn't, I had no concept of those actually at the time. So all he was doing was pointing out, like, that's the point where you're going to take a picture. And they have a modern digital camera that like would take care of some of that for you, so that you're just really concerned with like the composition and stuff like that.
Right.
Yes, you are missing some of the technical stuff, like you might shoot at a slower shutter speed and get blur and blah, blah, blah. And there's no way to, like, if you're not paying attention to things like the shutter speed, although it does keep all the metadata and stuff. But like the old days of the film, you had no, why is it blurry? I don't know why. And you couldn't like Google it and stuff. We went to the Nebraska State Fair, which was, I don't remember the town that it was in, but it was about an
Grand
hour.
Island. Sorry.
Grand Island. Right, thank you. Grand Island.
Sorry, I follow rodeos and stuff, so I just know. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, it was about an hour away, which is interesting in itself, but that's for another conversation. This whole time thing, time and distance here is totally reversed from New York and the East Coast for me.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll mention a little bit about it. Like in Brooklyn, if I said I want to go to the museum, let's say I want to go to the Museum of Natural History, which is on the west side of Central Park, I'd have to, as the crow flies, right? Let's say it's, I don't know exact distance, but let's say it's about 7 miles, 8 miles from my house, right? So, if you were driving a car and you were like, if there was a straight road from there, it would take you
7 minutes
to get 7 or 8 minutes to get there, right?
Yeah.
For me, on the subway, I had the plan: go to the subway, wait for the subway, get on the change of trains, and then walk. And it might take me an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes to get there. Here, when you are traveling someplace for an hour and 15 minutes, you go quite a distance away.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of time. The distance is different, but it is so strange because I think about like, wow, an hour, like it's going to take us an hour to drive there. I think, wow, an hour in a car. Now, the difference being, on a subway, at least you could read, you can do some other things, right? In a car, you're limited. But that being said, like the whole distance time car thing, I'm beginning to get used to it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we go to Grand Island.
I had mentioned it before, just to stay with that point for a second. So when I'm driving, I'm not just driving and the time's going by. I'm getting ready to provide a weather report to my whoever is in my destination. And if it's seeding time or harvest time, I'm talking about what kind of machinery I saw working and all that kind of stuff. So there's a report. Somehow or other, even if there isn't one to be given, I still observe, and it's sort of like, yeah, and they paved this new stretch from city A to town B, and like all of that. So there's stuff you can be doing. I'm just saying,
stuff I can be doing. I'm not quite used to that. Okay, I'm not quite. I mean,
sorry,
probably be yeah. Well, if I go by myself, I could probably. I mean, we had great conversations in the car back and forth, so it didn't seem like that. It didn't take that long. It did take longer going out there because for some reason it always seems to take long. Anyway. So I went there and I was thinking about, just a few weeks ago, I went to the Cass County Fair, which is a small county fair. This
Yeah.
was the Nebraska State Fair, and we were going for the day, so we went during the daylight. We weren't going to stay there all into the evening and whatnot. And it's still going on now. Like, if I wanted to go
Mhm.
like tomorrow or something like that, I could go. But I'm still not quite used to going on my own yet. Anyway,
Mhm.
so we went there and I decided to I was definitely bringing my cameras. I didn't bring I decided to bring my XT5.
Okay.
And this was a conscious decision because I was thinking, well, I could bring my X100, but it's not wide enough. And I really am starting to dig the 24 millimeter field of view.
Yeah, that was really striking. Those pictures of Cass County, they they're good. And it inspired me too. I think I'm going to do more wide
Really?
angle.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, speaking of inspiring, because I went there also. Well, hang on. I did go there, and I was thinking, well, I should bring two lenses, and I was like, no, forget it. Just bring the one lens because I'm not going to sit there and or walk around and find some place for in a dusty environment where I'm going
Mhm.
to switch to a 35 millimeter or a 23 millimeter. I was like, what's the point? But then I did stick the X half camera in my bag.
Mhm.
And I keep having a feeling like I want to use that little dinky camera for street shooting, for just grabbing stuff. And for some reason, I chickened out. We talked about chickening out. This is another
Right.
chickening out. I chickened out because I didn't know whether or not I'd be coming back to the fair, and I wanted to get the pictures that I wanted to get. And I
Right.
don't think that lens on that camera is as wide, and there's limitations because we all know it's limited. So I kind of kept that in my bag and I kept that the XT5 out and with the 16 millimeter, I set a black and white film simulation. There was a couple times I switched to color or I photographed stuff with my phone because the colors were just like, it was a beautiful day.
Mhm.
It was like a
Mhm.
nice breeze on a sunny day. And I mean, I got a little sunburn, even though I did put sunscreen on, but it was like it couldn't have been a more perfect day, although being in the sun for 5 or 6 hours is enough to tire out. But having that black and white film simulation, which I was looking at while I was photographing,
Mhm.
and again, thinking about you and because this felt like my version or our version here of of your Stampede, except with less Stampede.
Mhm.
There's there was
The
there is some competition kind of rodeo stuff going on, but we weren't there long enough for
Yeah.
that. We were just going through the midway, which now I understand what the midway means. Midway is not exclusive to the Calgary Stampede.
No.
It seems to be standard wordage
It's like
for a
the
fair.
English would call it a fun fair. Yeah.
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 And just walking through that in bright sun, like
Mhm.
a lot of contrast and stuff like that. And I think I was channeling you. And actually, I want the
Sorry about
pictures that I
that, by the
took.
way.
Yeah, well, the pictures I took. I have a couple of questions about that. First of all, the pictures I took, I liked the stuff that I
Mhm.
posted up on our Discord, and I'll see if I can put up a gallery for the viewers to see the listeners to see this stuff.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. I liked it. It's like, see, I love looking at your work from Stampede. I just love your black and white work in general.
Mhm.
I even asked you a few weeks ago what your recipe was for processing, just because you have
Yeah.
such a there's something, I don't know, there's a quality about your work in your black and white and the attention that you put to processing is pretty special. We work differently in the sense of like, I'm pretty much going with the JPEGs
Mhm.
and I do not convert my
And I mean, I discovered from Cass County, like I thought those images, the black and white images you produced from there were close to something that I would process. I mean, my process wouldn't be too much different.
too much different. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
didn't like the end result doesn't seem too much different what I would do manually, but that's great.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I did
so
some
you
processing in the camera itself. I actually would
mhm.
change some of the settings and then spit out a new JPEG. But all the stuff that I finished in Lightroom and stuff like that was all JPEG stuff. But so so first of all, I got to sort of walk in your shoes a little bit in the terms of like the event, right?
Mhm.
Now this had a lot of like, there's like old tractors, and there's, people eating funnel cakes, and
Hmm.
there's the silly rides that I could care less about, but people are enjoying themselves, and it wasn't terribly crowded, not
Hmm.
like the Stampede seems. I mean, it
Hmm.
might have gotten more crowded as the day went on. I don't know. It certainly wasn't like we couldn't get food or anything like that, so
Right.
it wasn't overwhelming. And the like once we got there, we got in a little quote unquote tram being pulled by a tractor from the
Yeah.
parking lot to the main
Yeah.
thing. Like I was already starting because I was sitting there and I was like, oh, there are people sitting here and they look great. And
Hmm.
the XT5, compared to noises out in the ambient noise, you can't hear the shutter on that thing.
No.
And the 24, I'm riding the exposure compensation dial because of their backlit, and so
Hmm.
I'm overexposing the background a little bit, and suddenly I look down at the pictures like, oh yeah, this is fun.
Hmm.
That being said, after I was done and I got fast forward to when I got home and I processed everything, I was like, I was going to ask you, do you think? Hmm, sorry, I put you on the spot. That
Sure.
do you think I'm copying you? Or
You
something?
can. I don't care. Like
No, no, no.
for
But
me,
well, whether or not I can or not, I can. Sure, I can. I want to know what your opinion is about, like, because I looked at it suddenly. I was like, I don't know. I mean, like, is this starting to look like your stuff? Like, you could have done this stuff, like you just said. The processing was very similar, so I
yeah, I
don't want to
think.
be copying you. I thought I was trying to do my own thing, but like this, the venue isn't much different from what you're
No,
doing your project with. So
no. So you're walking. We're sort of the same height. We have Fuji gear. I mean, and because we're the same generation and within a few months of each other, born in North America, I mean, we're going to have and studying some of the same work.
are we
There's
the
going to be
same
a lot of
person?
parallels. Are we the same person? Have any of you listening ever seen us in the same
This
room together?
together.
Yeah, probably not. But I'm maybe you are but this is your kind of first experiences with this, and I think you're using wide angle. Your images have a depth, and we can get to when we kind of swing the conversation back to me. I've got this little epiphany that I've
Okay.
discovered this
Yeah.
last few weeks. You have a near far relationship in your images where mine are more like tableau pictures of people.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
flatter. You're getting depth, you're getting a background. I think stylistically, I think you're quite a bit different than me. The subject matter is the same, with the
Mhm.
where we hold the camera is the same. So there's going to be a lot of parallels.
So if
But
we were
I
walking
wouldn't.
through, like, well, as I'm saying, if we were walking through the Stampede together, we're pretty, I guess, confident that we may be getting the same subjects, but we're recording them differently because
Well,
of
those pictures, that picture on whatever it was,
Fifth Avenue of
was it Fifth Ave with the women, the
the
two young
the two
women
women
doing the
taking pictures
pretend
of each other.
fashion
Yeah.
shoot there? Yeah,
Yeah.
we had the same subject, and yours looked like yours, and
Yeah.
mine
Yeah.
looked like mine. I think
It's funny. Back
we
then, for that I was using the 17 millimeter too on that.
and I was using the 23. So,
Yeah. So that
yeah.
does
So,
affect it. But yeah, okay. I didn't I just wanted to make sure that, well, first of all, I hope you're not being polite and you're telling me the truth. Like
no,
I wasn't trying to
no.
copy you. I did walk in your shoes. Like I did feel like I was channeling you. And that was really exciting because I am not I have not visited you at the Stampede, which I want to do. Maybe next year I can come out
Sure.
and go to the Stampede with you, for some period of time. Would love to walk with you in that. So I did like you were over my shoulder in a way, like especially when I was looking at certain people, certain situations. Excuse me, and I like in a sense kind of heard your voice, like yeah, 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 do
Yeah.
that, you know. And I think it's okay to walk in someone else's shoes to find your own direction. Like,
Exactly. And
this is the way we're gonna go. Yeah,
you had some frame of reference. You had Ralph Gibson's point of departure. You saw some of my work, and then you were there, and you're like, where's a good starting point? Oh, I sort of know what Ward does. Let's go with that. I don't think it'll be
yeah.
very long at all, and you'll have your own thing if you don't think you have your own thing now, which I think you
Well,
do.
I might. I don't know. It's like this idea of I mean, I'm going to say it here, but don't anybody steal this name. I love the name Fairground, like
Mm,
not fairgrounds, but like fairground. And I don't know, like there's something in that, like there's a narrative in that phrase that
mm,
somehow I might be able to apply the photographs that I'm taking, or if I'm going to do this, I don't know if I'm going to do the fairs,
mhm.
but maybe there is something there that I like, and I
The
can see the
really, I
appeal
think
for
the
you.
really small community festivals and small counties, where they just have a really small midway, or they have just one ride, like a little seesaw thing that's powered, I don't know,
Hmm.
whatever, just some small thing that has been there for 50 years, whatever. Some of these really small ones, and they have bake sales, and the old ladies are there, and like, there's just something irrespective of the size. There's
Yeah.
a there's like a farm. I think I might go this fall. There's a small community called Irricana, which is northeast of Calgary, about 45 minutes, and they have a Pioneer Days, and they have the old combines, the old threshing machines, and
Hmm.
the guys run these steam powered tractors, and they do the whole thing like they did it before the turn of the last century, and catching that, and the guys working really hard just to generate, a crop and that sort of thing. And then again, they have these little concessions, and families and the local Hutterite community might come visit, and just the different cultures kind of coming
Mm.
together. I might do something like that. But all of these sorts of things, there's really lots to see. So
There was there was something also as you're saying that I'm thinking about, you know, when I'm in New York, I'm sort of in a New York. This is gonna sound so cliche, New York state of mind, but New York is a very New York does not. All right, I don't want to insult my place. Let me try to say this because I'm here now. New York doesn't feel like a part of the United States in some way, and I don't mean that like literally. There's something separate about New York, right?
mhm.
That doesn't mean it's not part of the United States. It doesn't, you know, but the culture, the multiculturalness of it, there's something, and I'm not getting political here. I'm just really talking about like there's this sort of mixed salad of New York, right?
Yeah,
And Americana
and the
doesn't play
speed
a
of New
role
York too.
and the speed of it, but there isn't this sense of America the nation. In God, and I'm really putting my foot in my mouth in this. This is not what I want to say.
It's a sensation when you're there. I mean, I felt it too. Yeah.
But here, out here, this feels like this is like in Nebraska, and I'm literally in the middle of the country. This feels like the country's breadbasket. This is where, you know, we could go back into history with the Depression and the migrant workers and
Mhm.
the Dust Bowl and whatever. Like this is where that stuff happened, right? And
Right.
there's something about the American culture here that feels very different. And I don't mean this in terms of race and stuff like that. I mean there's something deeper at the core that I feel that somehow, like when I saw this flag, there was this big American flag in the sky being held by a crane, right?
Mhm.
And so it was just one of those giant like American flags that you see like at a car dealership. So
Yeah. Or a
when I
truck stop.
saw that again, yeah, when I saw that in the blue sky, and like you would never see that in New York, in
Mhm.
Manhattan or Brooklyn. Like, doesn't mean that people don't have American flags. It doesn't mean that people are patriotic more in New York or here than anywhere. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But there's something about the Americanness that really, I don't know. Like I'm beginning to feel it or sense it or so. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's not the place. Maybe it's
Mhm.
just me like looking at things differently, and maybe I have expectations about what places look like outside of New York because I've only lived in New York, right? And I mean I've visited other places, but I don't know. Am I making any sense? Like,
Yeah,
okay, well,
well,
how about this? Wait, if I was an outsider, if I was from another country, my vision of New York of the United States would be more of Nebraska than New York. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
that would be, like, the cliche idea of that, and there's something about that in the photographs that I'm beginning to, like, am I tuning into that? Because I am essentially an
Well,
outsider.
you're doing
That's
Robert Frank, and like you're feeling the country, you know, come up through the road.
But
and
he was traveling all around the place.
Well, so are you
I'm not a
now.
traveler.
Like, yeah,
Well,
but no,
little
but you're
bits in
driving an
places.
hour.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the conversation is you're moving and we're talking about hours out of town and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. And so
yeah.
you're starting to think about the road and the act of traveling and how that feels different, where you're like, an hour ago, I was like 60 miles away, sort of like you have to like,
Yeah. Right.
I can't just walk home if there's a problem. Like I need to,
Yeah, that's true.
that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And so I think it's the distance, it's the way in most of the rest of the country, people like stop everything, kind of commemorate, to do the national anthem, to whatever it is. There's a kind of a pause to,
Yeah.
ponder the flag or do whatever, or the flags and the, what people put on their vehicles and that sort of thing. It's just very much, it's kind of more baked in there. And that there seems to be more opportunity to just ponder the country that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've never really had that opportunity because I think New York is sort of an isolated. Maybe it's not just New York. Maybe it's a lot of,
Maybe Los Angeles is
even
like that too, but in its own way.
probably. Yeah, but
Yeah.
we're sort of in our own little bubbles and stuff like that, and coming out here is really giving me a taste of like, okay, same country, s- same people, right? We all like the same thing. We all like hot dogs,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But the taking off, you're right, like the singing of the national anthem, taking off your hat and putting your hat over your heart. Like, what? I was like, you know, and the same thinking, like, how can I capture that in my photographs? Like,
Mhm.
how can I show that contrast with what I'm experiencing? And I think this opportunity at the fair is giving me a little bit of direction. Like, I don't have any plans yet or thinking of it, but I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm beginning to think of this myself personally, which
Mhm.
I think is, I want to say, half the battle of making the pictures, but it does lead to my thought process about what I want to do for, like, what would I want to do intentionally for, like, the next thing. It would be
Mhm.
a fair. Do I want to go to, I don't know, what are the other options? So anyway, that was my experience in the past week. I want
Okay,
to hear before we
that's cool. And
go. I want to hear your thing. Yeah.
I said I was really excited before we jumped back to me. I said that I was really excited that you're going to get to do and experience some of the things that I do every year here. And it
Mhm.
sounds like you did, and you're making your own discoveries, and it seems like it's nourishing you. And I'm like, yay! It's not like it's not like, oh, I'm homesick and I miss all these
Right,
things about
right,
the big
right.
city and whatever. And you're not feeling that, and I'm so glad. It's like it was a good thing to move to Nebraska, and it's you're finally making these discoveries, and you're all wide eyed, and it's all new, and you're overstimulated. It's like that's perfect because you
Okay,
can work yourself into it. And so I'm very happy.
thank
I'm happy for you,
thank you.
and I'm happy for me as your friend that you get to see this and do this stuff. So okay,
Okay.
enough
All
for the
right.
Mutual Admiration Society. Okay,
Yes, yes.
so I did this article about the Calgary Stampede that's in the Substack, in our
Right,
Substack,
right.
streetshots.substack.com. And I called the article like a really overblown, pure inspiration, the Calgary Stampede Midway. And I was like,
Mhm.
this is, that's my clickbait. That's my idea of clickbait, right?
Not that we'd ever do clickbait. No.
No, no,
No, no.
we're professionals.
Right.
So what I discovered, both in the writing of that article and pondering my 2025 Stampede work, is I have a street style. The pictures that I do, and it's different from my motorsport stuff, and it's different from my other street stuff, and it's different from my New York work even. At Calgary, I'm trying to present people in a tableau form, which is like a flat representation. Like you think of a tableau as being the Last Supper, or
Mhm.
this pictures of Pieta or whatever, the Virgin Mary and the dying Jesus and that sort of thing,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
it's just everything's boxed into the frame and there's people lined up. And there's one picture, it's actually at the top of the article that I posted, which was, I think it's called Carnival Gamblers. And it's people all kind of, they all have different expressions on their face from one end of the frame to the other. Like the woman who's on the left hand side of the frame, like her head is kind of cut off, but her face is in there, and she's kind of emoting, and it looks like her husband's standing beside her, and then all these younger folks, kind of their heads kind of bob up and down in the frame, and then there's a woman who's looking off the frame to the right. They're all kind of lined up. They all have different expressions. They're all facing different ways. There's a young woman. I don't know if she's trying to get in the game. I know she was quite uncomfortable because she was adjusting her outfit a lot and moving her purse around and stuff. And she has this kind of longing look, like trying to get somebody's attention. And it seemed very painterly to me, like just the way it's laid out. And I thought, this is the kind of stuff that makes the most, or creates the best feeling in me, where I feel the most satisfied with the work that I'm doing. And then I looked at some of my other pictures, and it's the same kind of thing. There isn't a lot of depth to these pictures. I'm trying to line them up. And there's another picture of a middle-aged couple. I'm pretty sure they're from the country, just by the look of the man's face, that I called Calgarian Gothic, where he's kind of staring over my head like he doesn't know the camera is there. Well, neither of them really know. And then presumably his wife is there, and she's wearing like a dress that's a little bit too formal for walking around Stampede. But she's got this kind of look, this kind of earnest look, and she's wearing glasses, and kind of a sweet picture, but a kind of a weathered, like they live out in the country, and then there's these people work. Don't get me wrong. Even with her dress, she's probably a farm wife, and she does a lot. And so there's this whole kind of, like I say, this tableau form of the people kind of just lined up in the frame, and an expression or a gesture or something about them that makes them sort of compelling from a human point of view. It's funny because I don't ever talk about like this, or I don't.
No, this sounds.
You know
like
what I mean? Like it's the only way I express myself, anything in this way, in these kind of photographs. And so now, I mean, yes, when I go to Calgary next year, I will build on that, knowing that I'm not going to try and create the same picture over and over again, because thankfully at Calgary, that is impossible. So you cannot create, you can try, go ahead, try and recreate certain pictures of people. It's just not going to happen. And so now I have this, and the XS20 helped because it's the black body. It's quieter. It's less obtrusive than my XE3 with the chrome bodied XE3. I'm definitely going to chase after that more. And so now I can say pretty categorically now that I think I have a Calgary Stampede Midway style, and that's what I'm going to chase after. Now, it doesn't mean all the pictures are going to look the same, but they're going to be based on that tableau form. And I think I can mature that. That's huge, because it only took me 10 years.
Do you think that you can go back to your work from the past 10 years and start to find the evolution? I mean,
no, because
really?
I have done that. No, this is a newer, more refined, better technically executed aspect. I think a lot of it is, well, from technical, is slowing down the shutter and not going to higher ISO sooner. Like how grainy do I want the image to be? If I'm doing a close up of someone, like there's a picture I got, I don't think I posted. Yeah, it could be on my Instagram. Yeah, it's on my Instagram feed, called The Young Carney. And it's a young woman. She's wearing a cowboy hat, but you'd never know because I have the 50 on here and I'm standing about 2 feet away from her, and she's oblivious to me, completely oblivious to me. And she's wearing glasses, but the top of the frame is below her cowboy hat. So what we can see is just her face and this kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Wistful look in her eye. Like she's tired. I mean, it's the evening now. She must have been working in that gambling booth all day. She's tired, young. There's a kind of energy that she has that maybe she wishes she could be someplace else, working someplace else. And she's just looking, and there are reflections in her glasses. And though that is not the tableau, that's me doing a human kind of, portraiture, a street portraiture thing. That's different. But in terms of the way people are laid out and the way when I walk up and down the Midway through that part of the Midway that I call the Gauntlet, which is the big east-west walk from the entrance, the main entrance, down to where the hockey rink is, the Saddle Dome, which is actually due to be demolished here in the next little while. So there's a lot of, and it's a bright sun. So in the afternoon, there's glare coming from the west, and that I'm walking with the people with facing the sun coming through. So not only can they not see the camera or whatever, they're walking into the sun, and so they're kind of partially blinded anyway, but it adds that kind of mystery or whatever. Anyway, all this to say is that I kind of came up with this epiphany, and I'm looking at these pictures as I'm doing this article, and I'm going, I think I've found something here that I'm going to chase after. And that's good because it does mean that I'm more likely to do some kind of book project, or I'd really love to do a show. And I think I said that before. I think on one of these, the local exposure festival that we have here, I think I'm going to make some fine prints here just with this year's work. I have 4 or 5 or 6 images, or 6 printed, and maybe go into a couple of other guys and get a gallery space and work with them, because I've got a few friends here. I might be able to get away with something, and just a bunch of us, 3 or 4 of us that have a show. It's just whatever, and it's the show will be up for, I don't know, 4 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever during the festival. And that'd be enough for me, and I think that would be a good starting point. But I just feel really good about this little
I can tell
revelation.
Because of the way you're talking about it. I don't think I've heard you talk about it. I mean, I know you're always very happy about the pictures that you get from there, but you're sounding a little bit different now. Like, this is a great bit of self-discovery.
I'm biasing that sort of work to the 50 at night. I love being there at night. I really do. And making the conscious decision to work with the longer lens so that I'm on the other side of the booth. They can't even see me. And I'm just waiting. And that young woman that I was 2 feet away from, she's like, all she had to do was, just move her eyes. She didn't have to turn her head to see that I was there. And, so is that safety, I guess, is what it is. Safety to shoot with the longer lens for those. So,
yeah. And I can imagine the next year when you go, this all builds the confidence even more. Like you know where you're going for, what the look is going to be like. And, maybe I want to say not hiding in the shadows, and you're not doing that, but like this coming out more with the work, the deliberateness of the style that you're going for.
And those were manual focus too. Those images were manual focus too.
Yeah.
Which I actually didn't mention. I didn't mention in the article. Maybe I should have, because I went into a little bit of the technical. I had a paragraph dedicated to the technical stuff, but the stuff I shot at night was all manual focus with the focus peaking turned on. Yeah.
And you're mostly holding still. You're not necessarily always walking through the crowd, right? You're looking.
No, not for those. I'm not. No.
Yeah, obviously. No. Okay. It's interesting. Maybe we should do our next zine with speaking of zines, we still have to. Okay, well,
we
never mind. I'm not going to.
In time for Christmas. I don't know. Yeah.
We have a zine. No, I'm actually thinking about. I want to redo our zine. I'm sorry to change the subject a little bit because I'm looking at our time too. I'm looking at our zine, and I want to reduce the size of it to a smaller format, and then offer it for our listeners to help support the show, by getting our zine. So I might want to redo that. But the idea of doing a zine, a second zine with like my little baby steps into the world of this.
That might be a good mix
with your already established kind of stuff. Might be an interesting little mix as well. So let's put that on our maybe that's our winter project for us to do. All right. But maybe by then I'll have more. Maybe I'll have hit more, fairs or whatever kind of things.
I would say if you have time this summer or this fall, by all means do it. If you get bored of it, you get bored of it. But if you get hooked up in a career or whatever, and you're going to be busy next summer, you might. So
we'll be able to do it. All right. Well, wow. We let's just wrap. We're good.
Okay. All right. Goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye.
Hang up. Mic drop.
All right. So, where are we getting you in the world these days?
Where do you get me?
Where do I get
Vero,
you?
Twitter, and Blue Sky at W Rosin Photo. The lion's share of my output, my stream of consciousness, is actually on Instagram still. I don't have the same level of disappointment as just about everyone else I know with Instagram. Like I say, I sell fine prints based on my Instagram stream. That's at Ward Rosin Fine Art. On Facebook, you can find me at Ward Rosin Photo. And my website is rosin.ca, rosin.ca. And Mr. Antonio, where can we find you on the internets?
Well, you can find me in Blue Sky at AM Rosario. You know what? I am gonna start posting more on my Instagram account because of what you're saying, and also because I'm establishing myself here. And so I think people are communicating a lot through Instagram. So my Instagram is at AM Rosario Photo. You can go see my old Instagram, which is AM Rosario. Just don't follow me there. You'll see all my street stuff from there. It's been hacked, but AM Rosario Photo is my new one. My website, which I'm so happy with now, I switched over to Squarespace, and if you want to see a lot of the pictures I'm talking about tonight, go to amrosario.com. I'm not quite done with the design yet, but it really makes a whole big difference to have something that looks like I can be proud of, and I can hand out my card and say, it's not broke, it's not WordPress. So.
Yeah.
Not that I have anything against WordPress. I just don't have time for that stuff anymore. But anyway, Facebook, you can find me on Rosario Photo. And please, 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 please subscribe to our Substack newsletter at streetshots.substack.com. Ward and I are having a lot of fun writing up words with our pictures, which is maybe the topic of another show when we talk about words and pictures. But subscribe to that. We're both having a lot of fun writing, and we're both getting really good engagement with people in the audience and people in Substack. And so it's probably a good place to reach out to the two of us. So it's streetshots.substack.com. And if you want to support what we're doing until I get the zines up and running, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Antonio Rosario. And that's the summer. That's our summer shows. We're done.
We're done. We'll see you this fall.
We'll move into the fall. Yeah, I know.
You're going to have nice weather, and I'm going to have bad weather.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Well, but it's another season's gone. But anyway, Ward, thanks for spending so much time with me tonight.
Yeah, no problem. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah. And hey, everybody, we will see you in September. So everybody have a nice couple of weeks, and Ward, have a good night.
Good night.